Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Mario! Mario!
Mario!
He's back. All you had to do was ask. Super Mario Bros. 3 from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
You know, Matt, I and the rest of the Happen in the 90s sphere are aware of the fact that you don't care too much for these celebrity Matts. But I want to do a little quiz here, a picking of the brain of sorts.
Okay.
And I guess you can call it a game. And we'll call that game, Which Matt Does Matt Like? Some prolific Matts. So let's start off with Matt Dillon. Does Matt G like Matt Dillon, or does he abhor Matt Dillon?
Oh, so there's no middle ground. It's either love or hate.
Love, hate.
You know what? I'm going to go with love Matt Dillon because he was in Something About Mary, great in that. And he was also in Wild Things, Steve. And you and I both know that's one of our favorite little tawdry tales of the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, that's more you than me, but yeah. A titty
Shut
is a titty.
up.
Yeah. And it was Outsiders. Fucks with Matt Dillon. What about Matt LeBlanc? How you do?
I'm out, Steve. I'm fully out on LeBlanc.
That's fair.
Joey, I'm out.
Yeah. How about Matt Lur?
Matt Lear.
Matt Lur.
Oh, well, isn't he a liar?
Canceled.
Yeah, I was going to say,
he?
didn't he get like canceled for lying about a story or some shit?
Amongst other things. So I take that as a no.
You know, if I don't know what the crimes are, if I'm just using his body of work, I mean, he was there for a lot of big news stories in our time. So trusted news source back in the day, yes. But I think he's been canceled. So I'm going to have to say no on the Matt Lear.
Right.
Sorry.
I feel like I know the answer to this one already, but Matthew McConaughey, hey.
All right. Love that mask, Steve. Smoke a little
Got you.
Joan.
Up next is a pretty prolific Matt Damon.
I'm with it, Steve. Matt Damon back in the day wasn't as much of a fan. I felt like he was riding the coattails of a Ben Affleck. That's never true. I was just hating. But the more we go on, I feel like he's got a great sense of humor. He can do a bunch of great celebrity impressions, which I'm a sucker for, including Matthew McConaughey. And he gets it. I feel like he's getting it. He's going to be like a cool old man actor, and he's been in some pretty fucking cool-ass movies as an older dude, too. So, yeah, I'm in it. I'm all in on Matt Damon.
Good Will Hunting. I know the answer to this one already, but let's just do it for S&G. Matthew Broderick.
Blah. I mean, Ferris Bueller's great, right? Okay. But I'm out. I was in when Godzilla came out when I was young. Loved Matthew Broderick. As I've gotten older, just not into it, Steve. Falling out of love.
Just off of Ferris Bueller alone, he should get a pass. God damn.
I mean, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to do it, Steve. I'm not going against my own Matthew principles. So, you know, I'm sure he's a nice guy. But if I got to go love him or hate him, you get the chop.
Inspector Gadget deserves better. All right. How about Matt Perry?
Well, rest in peace. It's hard to say anything negative to a guy that just, you know, is popped off of the mortal coil. But, you know, here's why I will give him a pass, Steve. He was involved in Chris Farley's last released movie. And I actually liked it. Some people hate it. Some people think that Almost Heroes isn't that good of a movie. But I enjoyed it. And for that and that alone, I will overlook that he was in Friends with another shitty Matt. And I will also overlook those like weird romantic comedies that they were throwing him in the early 2000s. You know what I'm talking about. The whole 9 yards and shit like that. I'll overlook that for Almost Heroes alone. It doesn't seem right, but I guess I'll give him a pass.
They love you more when you're gone.
Yeah,
The big.
there you go.
Yeah, well, our next Matt is Matt Ryan.
I mean, I'm ambivalent, Steve. If he's going up against my team, I'm great. We're talking about the quarterback, right? Of the failed quarterback. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any hatred for him because he's never really done anything other than entertain me by famously choking with one of the greatest leads of all time in a Super Bowl. But
Of all time.
I'm sure he's aware of that. I'm sure he has to deal with that on a daily basis. But you know what? He can hang. Him and me and McConaughey and fucking shit. Apparently a posthumous Matt Perry could hang out too. Fuck it.
Matty Ryan, he got a passing grade.
I'll
Natty
give
Ice.
Matty Ice a little fucking chill mode, Steve. Fuck it.
Man,
I'm getting
proud of
soft
you,
in my
man.
old age, Steve.
Our next Matthew is Matthew Lawrence. Whoa.
I will say, I don't like his energy. I've seen him on stuff recently, and he's got a real spastic energy. But dude's probably getting laid, getting paid, and he's blood with the best Lawrence, Joey. So that's got to mean something. But you know what? It's getting a little crowded in here. He's out of the Mac Club. I'm out on it.
I mean, he is dating Chili from TLC. That's
cool. Damn, that's cool.
That's a reason to hate him.
Exactly. I'm gonna be full hater and just get out of here. I don't like it.
I felt that. Our next one is Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy?
The Hardy Boys.
Wait, which one's that? Is he crazy hair or is he flippy?
He's the brunette guy that didn't go like,
He's Marty Jannetty to this group. You like wrestling too much. I shouldn't use that, but he's not the more popular blonde guy from the Hardy Brothers or Hardy Boys or whatever the fuck.
I don't know who's more popular. I guess it depends on the person.
I feel like the Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like he just got more of a pop because he was doing more of the acrobatics.
Right.
And also Matt Hardy recently, I've seen some crazy hair that he's rocking where it's like fully almost like Samoan-esque, He's got like a poof haircut. It's very dry.
I think you're talking about, man, I got them mixed up. God damn it. Anyways, let's move on.
My bad.
Matthew Modine from Full Metal Jacket, Sergeant Joker.
Yeah, Sergeant Joker's gonna hang. I want to hang out with Modine. I like it. And also, I feel like he's plugged into like the Illuminati and shit. He's been famous for so long, so I want to get that plug in too. So yeah, Modine can definitely hang out.
All right. On to the next Matt. We have Matthew McGorry. He was famously known as the Giant from Big Fish. R.I.P.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we got to have like, like all shapes and sizes. So I'm going to let him in. R.I.P.
All
though.
Inclusive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like that.
There you go.
The next Matt, Matthew Lillard. Cheers, Scoob.
Man, I haven't heard that name. You know what? He has to because he was in the original Scream, and I love that movie. So for that reason, and the Scooby, that you gotta love that.
SOC Punkster. Our next Matthew.
Damn, how many Matts are there, Steve? How many Hollywood fucking Matts are there? I missed out.
We got 3 left.
Okay.
Matt Groening.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. I'll kick myself out to let him hang out.
That's automatic. Our next Matt, Matthew Stafford. Tim Allen would like him.
Boo. I'm out. I already let Ryan in. That's, one NFC quarterback. That's all you get.
You take hot dog neck over the guy who actually won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All right, the
I'm a
last
hater.
Matt, and he is epic as fuck. Matt Stone.
Yes, of course. That's obvious. Kyle, dude?
Look at you. So
I
you're
mean-
not as big of a hater of Matt's.
No. I just, sometimes I just get pissed off, Steve. I get in my moods. I just got to chill out. I feel like I'm doing that. I'm evening out a little bit. I'm 40. I got to chill out. And I got to be more open to hanging out with other Matts that, I almost said yes to Broderick because of Ferris Bueller, but I'm not going back on that. I've already stepped too far in that direction. I'm not going back. I can't do it.
You stood on it. I respect that. Well, that was the game. I don't know if it will play it again. I think that's all the Matts of does Matt like this Matt?
Da, 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 da.
Introducing the next generation from Nintendo. New Super Mario World. Created especially for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a bit more exciting, a bit more challenging, a bit more graphic, a bit more colorful, a bit more realistic, a bit more levels, a bit more secret, a bit more enemies, a bit more friends, a bit more sound, a bit hotter, a bit cooler, a bit weird, a bit more revolutionary, a bit more Mario, a bit more of what you want. It's 16-bit, and it's yours only if you get new Super Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your No Doubt posters and your No Diggity tapes. Cause for your thing, just to see the smile on your face, for your love, I will do anything. And you told me and I'll be right there.
Damn.
Did it catch all that? Probably not. But
Some of it, you went a little too high octave at the beginning, but it popped back in. We get it. We could see the soul coming out. We saw it.
Stevie wouldn't be proud. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things 321 in the 90s. Starting off in 1990, Normal Life premieres on CBS. And this series was based on the real unconventional home life of the Zappa children and their rocker dad, Frank Zappa.
What the fuck was what did it look like, Steve? Because I do not remember this at all. I do remember the Zappas being kind of, because there was Dweezil. I remember Dweezil
And Moon Unit Zappa. And yeah, they wrote it and they actually star in the show. And it's a hop of shit. And Google couldn't even conjure up a pic. So I just have the real Frank Zappa with Dweezil and Moon Unit behind me. It's a hop of shit. 13 episodes it lasted. But anywho, in that same day, 1990, CBS is airing Sydney. And it's a Sydney moves her New York detective agency to her hometown with her young brother, who's played by Matthew Perry, a rookie cop, tagging along. It's Eddie Van Halen's wife. She was on that one show back in the 70s, going into the 80s, and she's back. And yeah,
she's
a
back,
cop,
baby.
Yeah, Matthew Perry is her little brother. Daniel Baldwin's in it. Barney Martin, does that name sound familiar?
No, but DB, Danny Baldwin, the fat Baldwin. I always love seeing him and get some work. That's great.
Danny Baldwin and Barney Martin, that's Jerry's daddy. That's the cheese man from Golden Girls.
Cheese man?
The fucking cheese man.
Dude, I gotta say, Matthew Perry's looking like a high schooler in this. He's not a cop. He's just the son of a cop.
No, he is a cop, and he's the little brother of Valerie Bertinelli, Sydney.
Valerie.
Yeah.
I love Valerie, dude. Valerie's still working. She's on a baking competition show on Food Network, so shout out.
And the guy on the other side, his name is Craig Bierko. He would eventually be in another show that premiered on March 21st, and it was called Pride and Joy on NBC. So this was a good day for Craig Bierko, who would also be in Hot in Cleveland with Betty White. And I think Valerie Bertinelli's in that too.
I mean, if she isn't, it's the age range. But Craig Bierko is looking suspect in that photo. I don't know what he's doing behind their back, but I don't like that.
Caught him at the wrong moment, but also a hop of shit. But somebody who probably didn't watch this, he was still alive, but he died in 1991, is American businessman Leo Fender, who founded Fender Musical Instruments, died at the age of 81. Born in 1909, man, he died of complications from Parkinson's.
Was he, where was he from?
Leo Fender is originally from Anaheim, California. He passed away in Fullerton, California.
So he was born in Anaheim. Okay.
Yeah.
Cali boy. Well, I mean, I've never played a Fender, but I've heard of them. I know about them because of Wayne's World. You know, and because of that movie, I became a fan, so.
Some of the greatest had played the Fender, man, from Eric Clapton, John Frusciante, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, Jeff Beck, Kurt Cobain, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Nile Rodgers, Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Buddy Holly, Keith Richards, and George Harrison. So thank you, Leo.
Do you think, how rich was Leo when he passed, you think, Steve?
Well,
I always think about in terms of money. That's just how my mind works. But to me, this guy should have been like a billionaire. Probably he wasn't. But
back in the 60s, he sold it to CBS.
The broadcasting network?
He sold it to CBS. Yeah.
Like, you know what? We're in guitars. Oh, Leo will take it.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how that played out, but yeah, he sold it to him. And they had the price on here.
I mean, he definitely got paid. I mean, that's the only, I don't play music, Steven. I know, you know, Fender. So I think that if you know the name, if it becomes like the brand names like Band-Aid, you got paid. So shout out to Leo, who not only sold his business, but in a completely unrelated field. He was so famous, CBS was like, you know what? We'll take it. Fuck it.
Yeah, we just want to own the guitar name.
We'll take it.
Yeah. But also in 3-2-1 in the 90s, Steven Spielberg wins his first Academy Award for Best Director in 1994 for Schindler's List. And this is after E.T., Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Color Purple.
That's why I don't put too much like any sort of stock in the Oscars. I don't really care about award ceremonies, but that's fucking dope. I mean, he was going to win one at some point. The guy's too prolific not to. And you listed off all those movies, and it's like he would have been in the Hall of Fame of movies just off of what you just read. And he's still making movies, so.
Before we even got to the decade. But that following year, 1995, Newsradio debuts on NBC. The episode is titled Pilot, aptly named. Dave Nelson begins his new job as WNYX News Director, but first he has to fire his predecessor.
I mean, this is honestly, if you think about it, the boss, Mr. James, he seems like aloof, but he might be a genius level business, like, not owner. He's just like into business, because it's a great way to train the new boss of your company. Like, see if this guy's a pussy or not, you know?
Yeah, very calculated, but at the same time, not calculated. And I don't know how close you are to this show, but like while I was reading up on it, man, he started off this way, but by the end of the series, I guess he's kind of like a stumbly, fumbly boss.
That's kind of how I remembered him. So, but
yeah,
in this, he kind of is that way too. He seems like he just doesn't give a fuck, you know? But that guy, the guy who plays Mr. James is such a badass actor. He's been in so many
Stephen
movies.
Root.
Yeah, he's so cool. He's great at playing dramatic stuff, and he's very good at like comedy, as we've seen throughout the years too. And like Office Space, he's in Dodgeball. I mean, we keep going. He's in everything. But I like this show. This is a funny one to watch because, you know, Joe Rogan is not in this. He hasn't been cast, obviously, because his part's played by some guy who I have no idea It's clearly just like a stand-in for, only because I've listened to stuff about Joe Rogan and I know kind of like the background. I think Ray Romano actually had his part before he got it, but Ray Romano got fired and he got the part. But I guess the guy playing the maintenance dude in this was just, they're like, we need a guy for a week. Fuck it. Come on in.
One of those big what ifs, man. And, you know, I didn't watch this growing up, but I find it interesting in hindsight because of, you know, how everyone's career has grown, man. Like, who would have thought that that same technician guy would go on to be one of the most like richest guys in broadcasting? I mean, podcasting is considered broadcasting. So
Yeah. I mean, it's filled with stars. It's filled with like a shit ton of talent. I think the guy who created it was involved in Cheers. He was involved in some big show before like this. We talk about Joe Rogan. He's not even in this. I mean, Andy Dick, questionable dude. He's funny in this and would go on to he'd be, you know, kind of famous. Like Phil Hartman's in this. Dave Foley, who is a prolific like sketch comedian in Kids in the Hall. He's great in this. And I do know like behind the scenes when they would get into like writing trouble or something wouldn't like work, Dave Foley was like integral to them doing writing, like rewrites on the spot and almost like rewriting episodes and stuff as they were shooting them. And so I've always thought that was pretty cool. And it's a good show. I mean, I think it just kind of got fucked because of all the big shows that were around and it got put in bad time slots and stuff. But I mean, just having Phil Hartman, Dave Foley, Stephen Root, and you know, a couple of just funny gags every week. You know, that's a winning recipe as it is, but I always think every time I watch it, it's great. It's just like I never became like a regular watcher of the show.
yeah. And don't forget Maura Tierney.
Yeah, hell yeah. And there's a black lady that's in this too that she's not in this one, but I can't remember her name. She's hilarious in it.
Candy Alexander, who I always had a crush on.
Yeah, she was great in it. It was a great show, but I think sometimes that doesn't matter. We've seen that a lot. Shows get canceled that you wish would keep going, and it's just because, you know, timing or money, who knows.
And we start this episode off with Dave he's arriving at the news station, and he talks to the security guard, tells him he's the new news director. And, you know, he's making small talk. And before heading up to the elevator, damn, can I talk today? He realizes that he's at the wrong building.
Son of a bitch. So he was early. He was just trying to be fashionably late, but then we cut because he runs off and he actually gets there. First guy he runs into, not a great first impression or whatever, is his boss, Mr. James. And he's like 15 minutes late at this point. You know, Mr. James seems a little salty about it, but, you know, he's not in that big of hot water. And, you know, Mr. James is kind of telling him, like, you know, you're not the only, there's 35 other people that applied to this fucking job, dude. So you need to ship up or ship out.
Yeah. But you want to know why I thought you were special? And then right as he's explaining that, he gets a phone call. He's like, you know what? I was just about to tell the new guy how I think he's special. This is work related. And Ed Harlow, who's the current news director, he walks in late. And Dave finds out that Ed is the current news director. He follows Jimmy into the bathroom while he's still on the phone. And he tells him, like, I just met Ed. And he doesn't even know that I'm the new news director. So, like, what's going on? Oh, yeah. So about that, he's about to be fired. And I need him fired today. And also, you need to do it. So, chop, chop.
Yeah, that's a curveball. And then also to add just to like the weirdness about it, Ed's walking around, but Mr. James is walking Dave around like the bullpen of this newsroom, introducing him to everybody. And they're like, oh, like, yeah, who are you? Like, what are you up to? And I think because he doesn't want to like tell anybody, he tells him he's like the new sports guy, I think. There's like some lies. He's like, yeah, I'm this new sports guy, like looking over his shoulder to see if Ed's walking around. And he just has to lie until he fires Ed, because that's all he can do is fire Ed. That's priority one today. Ed walks into Dave's office, and Ed's like kind of a sympathetic person at this point. He's like, fucking my back hurts. I'm just always working and I'm alone. And it's just like a real sad story this guy's painting. So it's making it even harder for Dave to fire this guy. Because he's like, fuck. Oh, shit. And I think he even tells Ed that he's the new sports guy too. So Ed's fully bought into that lie, at least for the time being.
Yeah, because that's how Jimmy introduced him. You know, he doesn't want to spill the beans. He's leaving that up to Dave. And, you know, while he's in the office with Ed, he asked him, like, so, you know, that's too bad about your back. You ever thought about taking some time off? And he was just like, nah, man, this is kind of like therapy. Coming to work, it gets my mind off of the other shit. So it's like, yeah, man, that's that job there. I'm glad for you. But anyways,
Dave is working with Ed. Ed's got all these issues. Dave's really feeling terrible about this. So he runs out of the office. He has to run. Actually, Ed leaves the office because he has to go to get a backiotomy or some shit. He has to run. Dave actually meets who I guess is his love interest in this show, Lisa, who's like one of the reporters, like veteran reporters. Not yet, but that's where it's leading, basically.
Yeah. And, you know, we get a little cameo from Bill for the first time, played by the legendary Phil Hartman. So Lisa and Dave, they go into the studio, and, you know, Lisa already knows that Ed's on his way out, but she doesn't know that Dave is the replacement. She's got it made up in her mind that she's going to be the replacement because she spends 12 hours a day and night. And she's been doing that for 3 years. She's been putting in the work, Doc.
She's the vet. She's like the trusted one of the team. She's the one that actually gives a shit too. That's like kind of her character on the show. So then that leaves Dave in a lurch because you could tell he kind of just thinks she's cool. She's like somebody that's like cool to him immediately. So he goes back to what should be his office, but it's still Ed. Ed's fully on the ground at this point because it helps with his back. Bill comes in, and something that's going on in this episode is there's an upcoming interview with Al Gore that all the reporters want. So Bill's kind of, I think, like giving the cold shoulder to Dave a little bit, but he tells Ed, he's like, look, I want the Gore interview. I'm going to get the Gore interview. And if I don't get the Gore interview, I'm going to start talking as slow as I can. Just threatening Ed with whatever that is. So that's going to be kind of marinating in the background, this Al Gore interview thing.
And as Bill leaves, Ed turns around. He's like, man, can you believe he talks to me like that? Just the disrespect. And as he's saying this, Beth comes back in, and she tells Ed, you have 5 seconds to drag your fat ass to the booth and make the right decision about this Al Gore thing. Catherine wanted me to tell you that. Catherine, by the way, is played by Ella Joyce, who was Eleanor on Rock. Even though she doesn't have a speaking role in this episode, she plays the role that would eventually be taken by Candy Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ed's getting disrespected all this way and that. And finally, that's enough. He's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm out. Ed leaves. He's like, you know what? Fuck all this shit. I'll come get this shit. I'm out. Bye. Quits. And Dave thinks his prayers have been answered.
Dave's helping him pack his boxes. Like, oh, really? I hate that you feel that way, man. But you know what? A decision is a decision. Oh, bro, man, I holler at you, man. I might send a prayer your way. And, you know, as that happens, Ed gets on the elevator. Jimmy finally comes back, and he's like, hey, man, I got some good news. I let him go. But, you know, he basically let himself go. So, you know, I didn't really have to do it.
Yeah, he's like, and we saved the set. We did save a little money too. We don't got to pay him all that money. He quit. But Jimmy's like, you know what, dude? Sorry to tell you, this motherfucker quits every week. And I think as he says that, dude walks back in. He's like, "Hey, Dave, pick my shit up."
Get that damn box.
I like how they make Ed like sympathetic, but as the episode goes, you're like, this guy's a fucking douchebag. Like by the end, you're like, fucking fire this fuck.
Just do it already. And Ed is played by Kurt Fuller, and he has a prolific career, a character actor in a lot of stuff we grew up watching. But I'll always remember him as the heel, the villain from No Holds Barred.
Damn, he was that. I was gonna say the cop in the Scary Movie franchise, and the Wayans Brothers movies,
and Ghostbusters too.
Yeah, he's been in so much shit. But that guy, Ed's walking around here big dicking everybody again. He's the boss, Steve. And we see that actually immediately after that scene. He's back. Matthew, Andy Dick, is pitching him something. And Ed's like, what'd you just say? He's basically just like treating him like shit. He's like, hey, you know what? Thanks for the idea, Matthew, but
it's a stupid idea. Shut up. Go sit in the corner. Get out of my face. With your dumb nose and glasses. Stupid.
But Dave sees all this, takes Matthew aside, and is like, hey, man, it's cool, dude. This shit ain't gonna last forever.
Hey,
let me tell you
something to share with you. Yeah. I'm about to replace him anyways. I wanted to keep it to myself. I didn't know how to break it to him, but since he just pissed you off, hurt your feelings, I figured you might feel good hearing this news.
But don't tell anybody, okay? Please keep it on the down low. But he doesn't keep it on the down low, Steve, because everybody has to know. And seconds later, I mean, literally, I don't think Dave took a sip of water before you could see people like crowding around him like fucking ants. And they were just waiting like, hey, you going to go in there and fire him yet?
Like, you should do it now. Like do it now. How about now? Because you should do it now.
I like Beth's like, Dave, it's like prison. You got to whoop someone's ass the first day. Fire this fuck.
Bite somebody's face, just to prove a point, You can't be, the new fish out here.
But as he's like, Dave's trying to like get into the double dutch, Ed walks in and is like, hey, you got to go read the sports news because you're this new sports guy. Because Ed's still under that delusion. So Dave's like, oh, okay. And he puts on all the stuff. And he's like, I think Bill's like, hey, man, do you need any help? Like, do you want me to do it? He's like, I took a couple of classes, Bill. I'll be just fine. But he gets on, basically just starts spitting and spattering out there. He just loses it.
He's testing out the mic, and unbeknownst to him, he's already on air. He's just like, Philadelphia, 76er, oh, Philadelphia. And Bill points it out to him like, hey, you're on air, bud. And he's just like, oh, and back to Bill.
And I love Edge, like, just comes over, is like, dude, what the hell was that?
Dude, you suck. I don't know why Jimmy hired you. You know what? You're fired. Get the hell out of my face. Just like Matthew. Get the fuck out of here. Go, yeah.
Dave's like, cool story, man. Let's go talk in your office real quick, bud.
And everybody's just like, ooh, I want to see.
But we don't actually get to see it, You don't really see it. We just see seconds later. It's like a short meeting, And Bill comes up, tries to say something to him, but like is trying to like manipulate him. And Dave right here, he gets his big dick energy and is like, hey, Bill, fuck off. Lisa's doing the fucking interview. You're shutting the fuck up. Respect this. I'm not going to be manipulated. I'm the motherfucking boss. He doesn't say it like that, but that would have been awesome too.
I was in Kids in the Hall, ho.
Yeah. Bill respects it. He backs down, Steve. He backs down. He backs down the ledge. So Ed leaves. He's got his little box, but he's kind of got a little attitude. He's like, you know what, guys? Fire me. That's cool and all, but I got a buddy over at WXYP. told me, standing opportunity, I can fucking go whenever I want. I got the new fucking news job over there, so suck on this, sucker. And he just leaves.
Tom Novacek? Yeah, you know Tom Novacek. That's the dude that's running everything across the street. I'm about to go there because me and him, we BFFs. And he leaves, skedaddles, and right after that, they're just like, yeah, man. Thing about that WXYB, they shut down like 3 months ago. Yeah, they haven't been the same since Tom Novacek passed.
Yeah, dude. Dude needs to fucking check his contacts. Ed's out of a job. Out of a buddy, too. That's tragic. That's unexpected. And then later, we see Dave talking to Mr. James, and Dave's like, hey, Mr. James, I get it. This is a whole, like, test, right? This is like the game. Like, you're just trying to test me. This is all mental warfare. Again, at least in this interpretation, Mr. James seems like some kind of business savvy, like, genius, because he's like, hey, maybe it was, maybe I wasn't. Maybe, who knows? But I got to go. He doesn't give him an answer. That's business 101, Steve.
Cerebral assassin, man, like Triple H.
And Dave also sets the stage just to get a little closer to Lisa, because he's talking to Lisa, and he's like, you know what? You would have been a great news director. I just want to tell you that. I hope there's no hard feelings. It is what it is. And she's like, no, I thank you. I appreciate that. And I think I will be a great news director when you're fired in like 3 months. So, thanks for keeping the seat warm, bud.
That's something in your eye. I think an eyelash got caught in it.
See, dude? She's just scheming. But Lisa, I get it. Lisa's a little sexy little minx. And this show, a great pilot, dude. We don't even get all the players in it right away. There's going to be a little recasting, but I mean, I enjoyed it.
Not bad. Like I said, I think I appreciate it more in hindsight, seeing how everything played out. By this time, Phil Hartman was already a solidified legend just from his SNL stuff. Same thing with Dave Foley, but, he would go on and do other projects. He was in the last season of Fargo, actually, which is really good.
I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in It's Always Sunny. He does little cameos in that. He'll show up. But, I mean, I remember giving Newsradio a chance because I saw Dave Foley. And I had been watching Kids in the Hall and Comedy Central and stuff as a kid. So, I mean, dude is a legend. And, rest in peace, Phil Hartman. He's great in this. It's exactly what you want. It's Phil Hartman playing a radio DJ. What could be more perfect? The golden voice? Jesus.
And I think losing him, I think that kind of led closer to jumping the shark, man, because he played an integral role in this show.
Well, and then they replaced him with an unlikable John Lovitz,
Yeah.
Just can't like it. It's not going to be the same. Even John Lovitz is fine. I mean, I shouldn't have insulted the dude, but it just is a tough, even if you like the show, losing Phil Hartman, it's just like, I'm good.
Big shoes to fill, man. But somebody who probably didn't watch the debut of Newsradio in 1995, Matt, is probably Stevie Wonder. Damn, poor choice of reference. He probably didn't see anything in 1995. But he released Conversation Piece. And that is the one with For Your Love, I Will Do Anything. And that's one of my favorite Stevie songs, man.
Stevie. I'm not like, I'm not a huge expert. I don't want to talk too much and just bumble over it, but Stevie's a vibe. Stevie's a fucking legend. And I mean, also Blind Guy playing piano is just cool as fuck. And I mean, the motherfucker can fucking blast, dude. He can sing, he can play. I wish I had his talent, and he can't even see. So I'm a piece of shit compared to this dude.
I mean, just a living legend, man. They said that this album was a return to his classic years in the 70s with Very Superstitious. Man, I can't even
hits,
do
dude.
Too many, man. I can't even do a top 5 Stevie hits, man. But yeah, shout out to Stevie. Also in 1995, Joan Osborne releases Relish. And I only want to talk about this because of
Just a slob like one of us. That became such a thing. So I gotta say though, like looking back, I never clocked Joan Osborne as like somebody that was like sexy. but I don't know. She has a song on the album called Let's Just Get Naked, I think, and I love that. But she looks like a little wild thing, you know? It's a little crazy.
That's how I like him, Matt.
It's a Steve special, they calls it.
Yeah. And on 3/2/1, 1997, Sabrina the Teenage Witch is airing season 1, episode 19, Cat Showdown. Salem enters a cat show to make some fast cash, but Sabrina uncovers a fundraising or fur raising scandal.
You know, this episode definitely for me begged the question, if these witches can do all these witchcrafty and things and spells, why are you not living like in the lap of luxury? Why are you living a suburban life, this boring life? You could transport books to Egypt. You can do all this you can turn yourself into this and that. Seems like kind of a boring witchcrafty and loves, you know, like what's going on here? Did you guys fuck up somewhere? Is there like tax evasion in the witch world? Possibly, Steve?
There's parts of their life that ABC didn't want to air.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I think, yeah, it's something seductive and erotic about Aunt Zelda. You got
both
that
of
kind
them.
of.
I'll even give
Caroline
Ray, dude. She's fucking. Looks like she'd get crazy. Damn, there's some fan fiction there. There's some opportunity there, Steve. Zelda's bosoms glistened in the moonlight.
I've always liked Aunt Zelda. She's got that. I don't know. I like the way she talked. God damn it.
Yeah, dude. But boners aside, I'm kind of getting lost in the sauce over here, looking at her behind your shoulder. Yeah. But in this episode, I love this, Steve. You know, Sabrina's got this cat, Salem. I'm actually not going to talk about it. We'll get to it when we actually meet Salem. But when this episode starts, Sabrina's at high school. There's a high school trip coming up. 40 bones. She can't magic up money, apparently. She's got to figure out a way to pay this. And her and her buddy, boy toy, whatever, Harvey, they can't afford it. And there's some rich girl that's like, hey, little poor little pieces of shit. You can't afford that? Better off. See ya.
No funds for Funland for you.
I mean, goddamn, bitch. Is this Perrysburg, Steve?
I was totally thinking that, man. But back at Sabrina's crib, we see Salem the fucking cat. This is how wild the 90s were. Salem the cat is on the phone and he's trying to make an order for some shoe, it was like some shoe soles or some like shoe cleaner, and it's a cat. But anywho, he can't make the order because his credit card is maxed out.
This is like a Home Alone 2 situation, Steve. They're like, can we get a signature, please? No. Why, sir? I'm handicapped. Leave it at the door. I don't get it. I don't know how he applied. I don't know how he got the one credit card. He's saying multiple cards, plural, with an S, have been maxed out. So Salem, I don't know what the fuck he's buying. I guess he's trying to do some online business where he's like, you know, reselling shit because he doesn't have feet or shoes. But Sabrina comes in. She's got money problems. He's got money problems. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's figure out something that's going to be mutual beneficial.
Well, yeah, this is after Dauber from Coach shows up because he's the mailman, aka Patrick the Starfish from SpongeBob, and you know he has a thing for Zelda, and I can't be mad at him. I had a thing for Zelda, and he's just like, you know, I saw you talking to the FedEx man the other day, and I was wondering, is everything all right? You know,
because I killed him. What?
For you? That's okay.
Yeah. So she's not feeling it. Apparently he's a little pushy. He's been kind of like getting in people's faces for talking to her. He's a little possessive and it's like stalkerish. And let's be honest, it's Dauber. Like that's kind of scary. It's a slow, simple man, gigantic coming at you, possibly stalking you. So I'd be a little weird about it. But Zelda, she's a witch. There's a magic way out of this. And apparently there's a potion, I think, that just repulses people if you drink it. You know, you take a little sip, Dauber's gone because he thinks you smell like fish.
Anything will do. Those witches, they always have a plan brewing, man. And back to Sabrina's room, her and Salem are looking at the ads, trying to find a jobby job, something on the weekend, something part-time, because we ain't got no funds to Funland, and my cat didn't maxed out his credit cards. So Salem, he spots an ad for a local Greater Boston cat show, a feline fest of sorts. And he's like, hey, you know what? Let's try our hand or paw in this. And the prize is 500.
500, man. You pick a street cat up and win one of those, Steve. Comb it up nice.
97, that was like $5 million.
Also, we find like he goes out of kayfabe. I don't know if I'm using that term right, but we find out what his last name is. Salem has a last name, and I think it's the last name of a famous hockey player, Saberhagen, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I know Brett Saberhagen is a Hall of Fame pitcher.
Okay, there we go. I knew he's an athlete, but maybe they're related. Maybe Brett had a little magic behind those pitches, Steve. Who knows?
Maybe that's why the Indians never won.
But they enter, we cut to the cat show, and what we see here when the cat show is introduced is just really kind of sad to me. It's people prancing around, there's a whole parade, and it just seems like something you don't want to walk in on, you know?
They're giving Tony Robbins pep talks and talking like they're coaches about to head into the rival football game. And
listen, you little motherfucker, I will kill. You got to do your best, kid.
Yeah, I'm dropping you off tomorrow, goddammit. You don't get this right. And like one of the contestants has a cat named Duke. Ironically, we were just talking about a dog named Duke just last week.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Conspiracy. It's magic, Steve. But that cat lady, she's overbearing like the little rich girl from the cafeteria. She's got a vibe just like that. They're like Karen energy. My Duke has fucking big muscles and he has, look at his fur. He's got that.
He's the returning champion.
We find out that the illustrious Bob Gordon, who is, I think, a local news anchor, he's the host of this or the judge of this. And boy, the guy has some voluptuous hair, Steve. Great.
Oh, yeah. I know him as Captain Kragen from Law & Order SVU.
I thought it was the guy from Alf, but it's not that guy.
At first, I thought, yeah. Oh, Alf. You do a better Alf dad than I do.
I can't. I'm not going to pull it out right now. But Salem, he's looking around the room. And I do like the one thing also I just thought was a funny gag is Sabrina's like talking to Salem out loud, as she does. And she's like, hey, man, we got to fucking chill out. People are going to think we're crazy. And Salem's like, hey, look around. And everybody's talking. Everybody's crazy. So there's no, yeah. And it's even more weird than what Sabrina's doing. She's just having a convo. But Salem notices some whisker extensions on Duke. There's a little shenanigans there. So that's going to come into play.
It's like spotting out somebody's weave. I found that hilarious, man.
Did you see that? Fucking
ain't even your real hair, bitch.
Duke's a little fucking cheater. But Salem gets into the top 3 easy peasy. And of course he would. If nothing else, he can talk. He'll whisper in the guy's ear and fucking that. I feel like you get to win there. But we get to a parade. Salem has to walk around. And this is gross. This is, if you go watch this, you know, chime in. Is this a nightmare? Is this fun? Is this some kind of just like face for a swing competition, like swingers event or something? Because I don't feel like dogs, they deserve the respect of this. Cats, it seems a little weird.
I like dogs more than cats, and I even hated the Westminster shit because it always take up the time slot of Raw. Like, damn, it's that time of the year again. So I hate the cat show even more so. And, you know, they're doing the cha-cha, they're doing the electric slide, and all of these little Mark Summers obstacle courses. Eventually, Salem, he gets the best of breed because he's an American short hair and darn proud of it.
And he does that by showing off math skills, Steve. He's doing, there's like, what's 5 + 2? And he, you know, puts his little cute paw on the number. It's like, this thing's nailing it. I don't know.
That's
Somebody call somebody. This might be some kind of record, or maybe you need some science in on this, but it's easy peasy. This is easy work, Steve. He's a magic cat. So, I mean, put a spell on these people. You could win, just cheat, you know? That's what I'm saying. Magic exists, Steve. What are these people thinking? Just make some money, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But I
We didn't know the right cats.
We get the best of breed here where like they're giving out ribbons. And does everybody win a ribbon? Because everyone's getting a ribbon, Steve.
Well, at least the main cast with speaking roles in this episode, because I saw people in the background as just like, I guess it was like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Royal Rumble. Like, yeah, you're the 20th entry or 12th entry. You're just here to just be here. Go just in the
shut up.
Yeah.
And as we go, this is all happening. Zelda and Hilda go to a witch beauty shop, Steve. And there's a pushy salesperson. She's a bitch. Even in magic stores, there's this kind of level of service. And I don't like that. Haven't they figured that out?
Yeah. Stereotypically, she has to be Asian because it's set up like a beauty parlor, like a hair salon or something, a hair store. Instead of getting some Dax wave grease or some Sporting Waves, you get a bottle of Repulsion. And that's what Zelda came to get because she wants to get mailman SpongeBob out of her face.
Yeah, Dauber's getting real. He's looking into fucking second story windows because he can do that because he's a giant. But Hilda's walking around here. She's window shopping. She picks up a mirror and it just shows you as like your best self. So you pick this thing up. I got a full head of hair, voluptuous, well-trimmed beard. It shows you what you want to see, basically. She doesn't get it. Or maybe she does and she's going to give it to somebody. But what she does do, Steve, is helps herself to a little de-stress mint at the front of the store. But you're supposed to pay for those. And these mints, if you don't pay, have a weird side effect where it turns you into a little person, Steve. Bridget, the little person, that's what happens here. And it's really weird looking. I love the transformation.
Yeah, I mean, because she does look like a miniature Caroline Ray, like the same little bob cut and everything.
Turn me back. So, she goes from that to just regular Caroline Ray again. She does get turned back. We go back to the show. Now, I think at this point, Salem's actually won Best of Show, or he's won something to get him to Best of Show. There's another part of the competition, right?
Yeah, they're wrapping up day one. This is like the Masters tournament. So, like, he's closing up shop, the judge, and it's just him, Sabrina, and Salem. And Sabrina leaves, and, right after she leaves, the judge gets a call, and immediately you can hear him saying, like, no way, I'll give you anything you want. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Now, Salem, being a magical cat, is overhearing this, and it seems like Bob Gordon is being blackmailed.
Because of some kind of photo. And, in my mind, I think we all know, like, what we think. But Bob's like, anything you want. And what the person wants, Best in Show, Steve. It's that level of fucking just straight blackmail at a cat show, a regional cat show.
Greater Boston, man. This is all the bragging rights. This is big business in Greater Boston.
Well, Salem knows. Sabrina, who's been out of the room, comes back and I think sees the Mr. Gordon, and she's like, oh, hey, because they were like kind of vibing about everything and had like a really good rapport. She's leaving and Ed's like, hey, shut the fuck up, bitch. He just like, he might as well have smushed her. He's just like, hey, I gotta go. Bye. Enough.
Like, so he takes off, and Sabrina gets the intel from Salem. So she goes into the office to try to, find that picture and see what the hell is going on. And while she's doing that, Bob Gordon comes back. He's like, oh man, I forgot this. Thought I'll close that door. So as he goes to the office to try to close the door, Salem gives Sabrina the alert. Oh, They were good. That's good teamwork, like Scotty and Jordan, man.
Oh yeah, dude. And she has no. It's not like she. Well, I don't know what her abilities are, Steve, but one of her abilities is to just transform herself Animorph style into a cat.
There's that.
She Mrs. McGarnagles herself, and guy comes in, sees her, is like, "Oh my god, what a beautiful cat! How weird! I've never seen this cat at the show that I've been at all day. Weird. You're out," but he throws her in a cage, leaves, and that puts Sabrina in a weird spot because I guess she can't do spells without thumbs. But bitch, you turned yourself into the cat originally. You did it. You don't know how to do it without the thumbs, but she can't. She's stuck in a cage. She's a cat. What's gonna happen, Steve? We go to commercial. I think she's dead. She's gonna fucking starve. I don't know. I don't know how this works.
Yeah, they didn't even explain how the aunts found out what's going on, but they basically saved the day. They come to the award room and they turn Sabrina back into a person. And
Can I ask one question that this specifically makes me wonder? Maybe this is covered in another episode. This happens, right? Sabrina gets turned from herself to a cat back to herself. Is Salem a human being that just never turned back into a human being? He can talk.
he has a backstory. My recollection of this show is fuzzy. This is the tail end of the TGIF run. And, from the Department of the Redundancy Department, we were becoming teens, Matt.
Yeah. I'm going to fill in the blanks and say he got into a real heavy coke binge, got in deep with somebody in the magic community, and turned himself into a cat to escape whatever the consequences are of that. Possibly like an OD of like a chick he was with. She snorted too much magic dust and died, So, we're moving the pieces around. We'll figure it out. But Sabrina's fine. Very easy fix. Like you said, very convenient. The ants walk. She's like, I can't change back. Next scene, ants walk in like, hey, where's Sabrina at? She's right there. She's changed back.
That's simple.
We go back to the house now. Hilda and Zelda find out about the blackmail. And they're like, well, how are we going to figure out what this photo is? Or like, what's going on here? We need to see what the photo is. And I don't remember exactly what they do. They do some sort of like reverse point of view spell, right?
A reverse spell. It's like an Adobe Photoshop undo or something. But, in the 90s, these witches could do that in real time. And, they see in the picture, like all they could see is a hand.
Because it reverses like the picture was taken. So it basically flips the point of view so you can see whatever was behind the camera. Which isn't much because it's usually somebody's face smushed up against the fucking camera, which is exactly what they see, Steve.
But they do see a hand and a gnarled off index finger.
Oh, God. So, I mean, they got some to go off of. This is just like detective work, one step at a time here. So now they got to go to the show. And Sabrina's like talking to everybody like, hey man, what's up? Number one, am I right? How about you? Let's see. She's just trying to look at people's hands, So that's kind of weird, but you got to figure out who's the fucking culprit here. She can't figure out it because I think everybody has like gloves on or something. Like conveniently, you can't see any fingers.
Like the guy has his hands in gloves, and the main lady, she has her hands covered. So yeah, either way, their hands are concealed. And once they do reveal their hand, everyone is missing an index finger.
Everybody had some kind of catastrophic fingering injury that occurred. And yeah, so they can't point at anything. Can't even flick you off, really. So that's not going to help.
And Sabrina's had enough of this shit. Like, man, I'm not getting to the root of this. You know what? Hey, Bob, come to the office. I need to holler at you for a quick minute. So I know what's going on, and I know your story. I know what you're trying to hide. And he's like, no, shut up, girl that used to be on a Nickelodeon show. This means my whole career. I can't be seen in public as a bald guy. People only want to see people on TV with hair.
I think that's true, Steve. Tell me a bald newscaster.
Does
I'll
sports
wait.
count?
No.
Hmm.
And he's right. And that's the judgment that we all need to improve, guys. Look, don't judge a book by his cover. But Mr. Gordon, he's like, dude, I've been wearing rugs since I was in college going to frat parties. Like, I can't, at this point, Big Beluga and Boner from Kappa Psi, I can't let them know that the shit's gone. I was fucking, that's my thing. I'm Fabio. That was my name back in fucking school.
And I can empathize with that, Bob Gordon. It's not fair. It's not fair.
That's why I'm wearing a hat, Steve. I get it. I sympathize. The man's fucking in pain.
Yeah. They say it's on the maternal side. Yeah, it's the mom's dad. So I've been told. But
well, that's bullshit. Because my grandma's dad had fucking hair, and I'm losing it. So I don't know what the fuck's going on, Steve. And I'm with it. Mr. Gordon, sir. Fuck it. Throw this shit. No one cares anyway.
And it's so obvious, Bob Gordon. Like, you know, I knew what the blackmail was. This is my first time, I think, watching this show. I've seen this show back in the day, but this specific episode, as I'm watching this, I was like, I got a pretty good inkling what they're blackmailing. It couldn't be this obvious mop on the top, is it? Oh,
dude, I mean, dude had me fooled, Steve. You must have cat eyes. Wink, wink. Because, you know, I gotta say, he was pulling it off. But at this point, we think he's not going to throw it. So we cut to later, right? Mr. Gordon, we think he's going to throw this shit, but he's picking up Duke. He's like, look, guys, Duke's clearly been the best cat here. He's about to throw the shit. He's looking at Duke, and he sees his own reflection in the cat's eyes. And he's like, God, I can't look myself in this fucking cat's eyes and do this. So he gets the courage up and he outs himself as a bald man, Steve. He pulls the rug off, pulls the rug out from Duke, and Duke's owner, the just quaint little bitch of whatever this Karen woman is, she's like, Duke, this is a lie. Because I think also they bring up the fucking whisker thing, and she's like, this is all natural, bitch.
You got extensions, ho. Yeah, so Karen and her Duke, they got DQ'd. And so the scene is set up for Salem to be the best in show. And for a moment, he is best in show until Bob Gordon remembers, oh, whatever happened to that blonde cat?
That exquisite blonde cat.
Had a profound impact on me. I just met it last night. And Sabrina, quick on her toes, because she explains it all. She's like, you know what? I know where that cat is. And within a millisecond, comes back, the blonde cat is there. And, you know, they treated Salem like Ken Shamrock in Royal Rumble. It's like, you're the Intercontinental Champ. Psych.
Huh? So Salem's into his feels a little bit. But at the end of the day, Steve, they got what they needed to get done. You know? Mission accomplished. Bag secured. I don't know I guess they're splitting it 50-50. I don't know what 250 is going to ding out on a maxed out credit card bill, but maybe pay an interest payment, Salem. I don't know. Maybe consolidate. These are financial terms I've heard adults use, so try one of those. Good luck.
Well, Sabrina did say it was enough for her and Harvey to go to Funland and enough to pay off those debts. So, hey, it's 1997.
Yeah, money goes a long way back then.
Yeah, 500 can get you to Antarctica probably. But Aunt Zelda, she's still got this mailman to fend off. And she's got the repulsion. And in the final scene, he's just like, you know what? I'm sorry if I was overbearing, blah, 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 blah. I'm a starfish in a cartoon. And she's like, you know what? Why don't you come in? You want some coffee? I'm not doing a good Aunt Zelda.
Oh, this is happening. He actually goes, this is happening. That is not what you want somebody to say when you're walking into your house, but you know fucking Zelda's going to get hers. I'm sure, I guess she drinks it or gives it to him. I don't know. I don't know how this fucking magic shit works, but she starts developing a little scrumdiddlyumptious on the nose there, Steve. She's turning into he sees what I envision as a real witch. You know, word on the nose type witch. You know what I'm saying?
And some bunny teeth. but that still doesn't fade him.
He brought over some Omaha steaks too that somebody just didn't pick up. So she's getting fucking prime cuts of meat and maybe some dauber meat too, Steve.
Yeah, he's trying to drop off some other kind of sirloin too.
Coincidentally, I got another type of meat for you right here. Bring that weird little wart over here, baby. Let me suck on that real quick.
Trying to get T-boned? You know, shout out to Melissa Joan Hart, man. She don't get enough credit. I think she's one of the coolest, you know, when it comes to child actors. You know, I talk about this a lot. I wouldn't put her as high as top 5, but I thought she kind of had like a lane of her own. Because she wasn't really a movie. She was really TV back in the day. You know?
She's humble now too. We saw her at like 90s Con and stuff. Like they did a panel and she seems like, you know, she's totally into it. She knows what she was. She's into like the fandom and definitely encourages people to just like love and rewatch the stuff. So you'll love to see that. And she's doing good. She, you know, it's not like a crazy like child star story like we get so many times.
Yeah. Bonus points. You didn't get on that pipe. You were a child actor and you didn't get on that pipe. Also, 1997 Crash premieres. After getting into a serious car accident, a TV director discovers an underground subculture of scarred omnisexual car crash victims who use car accidents and the raw sexual energy they produce to try to rejuvenate his sex life. Directed by David Cronenberg, starring James Spader, Holly Hunter, Elias Koteas, Deborah Kara Unger, and Rosanna Arquette.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, James Spader in a weird sexual thriller, whatever the fuck this is. What a weird, this is so specific of a thing that whoever wrote this, maybe David Cronenberg did, but whoever did, this must be a thing. Because otherwise, why write this? This is insane.
It really is a thing. Symphorophilia, coined by sexologist John Money, is a paraphilia involving. Of course, it would be a porn name. Is a paraphilia involving sexual arousal from staging and watching disasters such as traffic collisions.
So, okay, did you watch this? Because I watched the trailer, and there's only so much I could get out of it. So they get into car accidents and then bang on the car accident. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and you know, James Spader and Casey Jones, they get real close and personal. Those car crashes turn them on that much, and I wasn't prepared for that. But
wait,
you know,
Spade Dog and Casey Jones fuck.
No, I wouldn't say that part. Yeah, I would say just after third base.
Wow. Hey-o.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, I'm surprised to see Casey Jones in this. Not surprised that James Spader's involved, because this seems maybe he wrote it, to be completely honest with you.
Now I see why you say this about James Spader, because I only know him from the 80s.
We just talked about it randomly like last week. And randomly the next week, just no way that we could have known he's in a perverted sexual thriller in the 90s. So
sexual perverted? Dude, the first scene, this is what had me so mad. The first scene, James Spader's got a face full of ass. I kid you not.
I mean, I was watching the preview. I was getting a little boned up because it's just like him, like, the intensity. And it's just some chick on like the hood of a fucked up car getting drilled in some way. I don't know what's going on here.
He could actually see her kidney. He's in that deep, eating it like puppy chow, man.
I love that for him. I love that for James Spader. Thank you.
Yeah, good for you, James Spader, man. So it's good for that. But also in 1997, Liar Liar premieres. A pathological liar lawyer finds his career turned upside down when he inexplicably cannot physically lie for 24 whole hours. Directed by Tom Shadyac, starring Jim Carrey, Maura Tierney. This was a good day for her in the 90s. Jennifer Tilly, Swoosie Kurtz, Amanda Donahoe, Justin Cooper, Sherry O'Terry, and Carrie Elwes.
Yep.
The guy from Princess Bride.
Nailed it. Yep. I feel like, we love it. If you've seen it, you loved it. This is a great, awesome comedy of Jim Carrey's. And I feel like it gets lost in the sauce just a little bit because, we got Ace Ventura, we got Dumb and Dumber, we got The Mask. And then there's this more like not fantastical, other than the fact he has like a spell put on him. But I mean, just another one where he's just nailing it out of the park from front to back. It's just a hilarious movie with heart.
Yeah. I mean, the case is proven once again why he's the GOAT of this physical comedy, because even in the closing credits, they do the outtakes. And, you know, he's famously known for doing this, just like Robin Williams, who ironically was one of the original choices for Liar Liar. And another one was Steve Martin. I love both of those guys, but man, Jim sold this. And in the closing credits, like the stuff that he does, only Jim Carrey can do, man. You know, like he made this movie way better than it could have been, man. I'm not saying Steve or Robin wouldn't have done it justice, but Jim Carrey, like the court scene, all the little mannerisms, the extra shit.
The scene where he got like, where it's all coming to a head, and his boss, who he's insulted after fucking and said that it was, you know, he's had better. She brings him into like a boardroom with the guy who could like make him a partner, and he starts roasting everybody, including his boss. Is one of that scene. I mean, there's so much physical comedy in that, you know. But yeah, this movie, just such you're a pedantic pontificating old fart.
Do me next.
A worthless steaming pile of cow dung, figuratively speaking. Slut. It's so fucking funny, man. And this was another one where my mom and dad loved this. Like, there was nobody that did not love this movie. It was that good, you know.
How's it hanging, Everett? Short, shriveled, and always to the left.
The Sherry O'Terry, when she has the crazy hair,
the Coolio braids.
She's like, whatever takes the attention off of your dress. Just walks away. She's like, yeah, dude, man, I need to go back and watch this. I haven't seen this one in a while, but man, what a great fucking movie, dude. And it could have been such a generic, awful, like if you tell somebody, like, yeah, guy never shows up, his kid wishes he can't lie, and that's what the movie's about. It's like, man, that sounds kind of stupid, you know? But
straight to DVD.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the magic of Jim, man.
God bless.
Yeah. But also in '97, Selena premieres. The true story of Selena, a Texas-born Tejano singer who rose from cult status to performing at the Astrodome, as well as having chart-topping albums in the Latin music charts. Directed by Greg Nava, starring Jennifer Lopez, Edward James Olmos, John Cena, Constance Marie, Jacob Vargas, and Jackie Gura.
This was huge. I mean, obviously, it's like a biopic of that Selena and the tragic stuff that happened, but this was the coming out party for J-Lo. You know, she was a fly girl, but this was it. She went from just being a background dancer to being the main event. So this is what did it.
And, you know, ironically, what J-Lo would eventually do for Latin America, that's what Selena was projected to do. You know, I was a kid. We were kids when she died, man. And I've said this before, like when I moved to Texas, man, I didn't realize the impact she had until I moved there. Like, man, she was a big deal. Like the Mexican Beyonce, bro.
I mean, even my wife is from like Southern California. She's not necessarily like Latin. She has Latin in her blood, but like on the West Coast, Selena was gigantic. Like she was all over Selena. And I mean, we knew about it because of the tragedy, like you said, but man, I didn't realize like the extent, how huge she was. Like, and I think that's kind of true with a lot of Latin like pop stars too. Like sometimes in like America, you'll be like, oh damn, like who's this motherfucker? And they're like worldwide famous and you just don't know it. That wasn't really the case here, but.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing to it nowadays, I would say maybe Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't even know who that is. I know who that is, but I don't know who that is. But you're right. It's basically that. But I mean, J-Lo killed this.
She did.
She was meant to do it. It's weird. It is weird when you say that about Selena though. Like she was projected to do what J-Lo did, and she just obviously cut short. And J-Lo just like took it up. I wonder, does anybody point that out in like a negative way, where she's like, she just took the fucking scraps of Selena? You know, I don't think that you can really do that.
It's unfair to fault her for that. I mean, like, you know, the opportunity was there for her. And I mean, at the time, they didn't have any representation,
Yeah.
not popular at least. You know, you would have to venture out and seek it. Like
I,
Jennifer Lopez, she was like mainstream.
and it's crazy to me, and I mean, this is Hollywood. She could have gone at whatever the movie role she did, they'll make her look different. But this was in 97, right? And then she was in this
97.
crazy fucking messed up movie called The Cell. Do you remember that movie? There was like a horror
You
movie
had
with
that.
Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah, hell yeah. But in that, she went from this, and it could have been that much after this that she was in that movie. And that's just kind of wild to me because of like the tone of the movies. But you know what, dude? J-Lo, fuck it. I ain't got nothing bad to say to her. And she is one of the most gorgeous ass women of the 90s. So salute to her in that regard too. And she's a fly girl. That's
Yeah.
where we all grew up to love, you know?
And still is. And that following year, 1998, Always Outnumbered debuts on HBO. A former prisoner tries to save a neighbor youth from following him down the wrong path. Directed by Michael Apted, starring Lawrence Fishburne, Bill Cobbs, Bill Nunn, Bill Duke, Natalie Cole, Laurie Metcalf, and Cicely Tyson.
Even Aunt Becky got in on this.
She plays a Karen.
Yeah, she does. Hell yeah. She's like a grocery store manager or some shit.
Yeah. We'll call you. Bitch, I don't have a phone. Well, we'll
where's this address at? Oh, no,
Yeah.
we don't like that. How old are you? No, but Steve, I mean, you caught me off guard with this one. Never heard of it. Started to
neither.
like pick around. We had a little technical difficulty earlier today, and I ended up seeing more of this movie than I thought. But god damn, what a strange, intense, and terrifying movie. It involves one of the most heinous murders I've ever seen on a movie, Steve. That poor child.
Uncalled for. Like the little kid that kills the special needs kid, I did not like. I didn't like the character or the actor that played the character. Like it just went from 0 to 100 when it didn't have to be.
How fucking dang. I mean, yeah, how cold-blooded are you? But basically, Lawrence Fishburne's a guy, went to jail for killing some people. You know, I think he got in a fight, whooped some ass, killed some people, if I'm not mistaken.
And assault and rape.
Okay, so there was some other stuff there. But he's come out. His name's Socrates. And I love that. I think that's fucking cool. Socrates. And he wants to do good. And he's kind of like this sage-like dude in the ghetto. And he meets Daryl, who's this young kid. He's living in the neighborhood. Daryl's involved with a group of kids that's maybe led by this really overzealous, angry young kid who murders a special needs kid. So he's basically an accomplice to a murder. There's a body someplace. I don't know how it ends, but Daryl becomes like embroiled in that, and Socrates kind of wants to help him not become a statistic, basically.
Yeah, Socrates, he's reformed. And he also can't define how I be dropping these mockeries, lyrically perform armed robbery. But it's a bittersweet ending. You know, it starts off with Socrates coming out of jail, like, you know, he's trying to get back on the right track, but it's hard for him. You know, you spent that much time in jail for these heinous crimes, and who the fuck is going to hire you? And, you know, that's reality, man. For a lot of people doing that, you know, you want to do the right thing. You want to get a regular 9 to 5, but no one's going to hire you. So you resort to your old ways, and it's a vicious cycle, man. But he refuses to go that path. And on top of that, he wants to protect the community. And, you know, he kind of gets these vigilantes in the neighborhood, you know, gather up. He beats up this guy that was like, you know, running up in homes for crack. You know, he's like, man, get this crackhead out of here. So him and his posse, Bill Cobb and Dutta Man from New Jack City, they rally up and they beat the fuck out of him. Get out of here, man.
Yes, it kind of has that Equalizer vibe to it, where it's just like an old dude that's just like cleaning up the streets. You know, obviously there's a little bit different, but I do like there's a scene in a diner with a guy. I think we talked about him. Isn't his name Isaiah
Washington?
Yeah.
Another recent episode.
And he's like a scumbag in this. And Lawrence Fishburne's just trying to eat. Natalie Cole is like the waitress at this place, and they've got some shit. But Isaiah Washington is just like saying out of pocket shit, just being kind of shitty. And Lawrence Fishburne has to give him like almost like a Sam Jackson like 187 speech where he's like, yeah, you want to pay for my dinner? I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it. And he like pulls a knife out and shit. It's crazy. He basically bitches dude out in the diner. Does anything else happen in that? Because it's a very intense scene. If you look this movie up, the only thing that's easily readily available is the full movie and the diner scene. So I do know that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it has a fair ending. There's only so much you can do with that story. I just feel like it starts off in a dark place. So, I don't expect unicorns and a pot of gold at the end of this shit.
It's fucked up. I mean, dude, and he has to, at one point, he calls, because there's a dead child, right? That's just nobody's found. And Lawrence Fishburne asked Daryl, this young kid that he's protecting, he's like, hey, has anybody fucking told the mom, or has anybody found this kid? He actually calls the mom and tells her on the phone, like, hey, you want to go up to this place? That's where he's at. And like, that happens. She wails. He goes off on the phone and almost whoops the shit out of the kid. It's crazy.
A couple of times.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's a crazy movie. I mean, we're kind of going back and forth, but it seemed like it's a dark movie. But everything I saw, I was like, man, this is fucking kind of like hardcore as fuck. It actually seemed like a really good, it's an HBO movie. So I wouldn't say made for TV, but it's fucking pretty good.
Cable TV. It was well done. I mean, look at the cast. It has a dark cloud over it, but hey, I made it through Precious. So it can't be that bad. So that following year, 1999, ECW is airing Living Dangerously 99 at Asbury Park Convention Hall at Asbury Park, NJ. The peak of ECW, this is.
I mean, I can only assume gallons of blood, maybe a couple of kendo sticks to the dome.
At some point, New Jack has a match against his former teammate, Kama Mustafa. You can't really pick out the blood just gushing out of his forehead, but he has another one of those 20-foot drops. For ECW standards, it was a solid card, man. The main event was Taz and Sabu, and they put on a good match. Something about Sabu, he always got to shake hands afterwards. You beat my ass.
Respect, motherfucker. I mean, you better shake fucking Taz's hand, though. He'll fucking slap you around.
Something really cool and noteworthy, man. So the Dudley Boys, they're on their way out. And this is why I say it's the peak, man. A lot of these guys, the top dudes are like, this is their last leg in ECW. So they're talking shit in the middle of the ring. They're going up against Spike Dudley, doing what they usually do, just beating them down. And then out of nowhere, Psycho Sid comes out of the crowd, just denim jeans and no shirt. And he's just there to just drop off power bombs, goddammit. And, I wasn't expecting it when I first watched it. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Jerry curl dripping and everything.
Does he flub a line or anything? Or does he get out clean?
They kept those mics away from Sid this time.
Live, bud. That's great. I love that. Hey, man. You never know when Psycho Sid's just going to come out of someplace shirtless, sweating profusely with his Jerry curl juice just going everywhere and dropping off a couple of ass whoopings. I respect that.
He's the ruler of the world. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or switcheroos?
I just got to say to the people at Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I mean, I want to know, like, why were they not ruling the world? I'm just calling that out.
Like Psycho Sid?
Yeah, exactly. But I also just got to just give some love to Newsradio because, like we said, I think it got fucked over with some tragedy, some bad like time slots and stuff. But man, it worked. Yeah, I mean, I think that would inevitably have taken them down too, but it worked. And I think there was also like a sort of an abundance of shows about like news, like rooms. Murphy Brown, there was that sports night show and stuff where it was all kind of the same. And this one's kind of elevated itself. And I think it's not in a small part because of Phil Hartman, obviously, but I I think we got to go back and watch this a few times because I would love to see it when they found their groove a little bit too. I think we've watched it once, but I think it was still an early episode. And I'd love to see it, you know, in full effect if it's still we got the same good taste in our mouth. But, you know, I'll stop rambling. What about you, Steve?
Man, this episode is dedicated to rambling, just all over the place. So I'll say that. But what I have is in 1997, Step by Step is there in the episode Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I found it hilarious because Mark and his buddies, they want to get one of them skin flicks for the weekend. And I remember those days. And they went to the Blockbuster, the local family video or whatever, and they figured out a way to like take the tape out and put it into like Little Mermaid. I think that was the title that they used. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna rent out this Little Mermaid. It was that easy. The tapes would actually be in there. They gave us that much trust. And you know, they're in the garage. They had to take the TV out into the garage, and they're watching it. And then eventually they get caught by Frank. Hilarity ensues. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your little sister, for love, I won't give her anything. But check out Food Show Fanatics with my buddy Matt and Kendra. Check out our guy Clark the Shark on Podcastle, as well as Crushgasm on Wednesdays with Kendra B. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happen in the 90s.
You have bad breath caused by gingivitis. You couldn't get a porn star off.